The mischievous twins used a fishing rod to hook the woman's hat and tossed it toward their older brother, just to catch the attention of the elderly couple. But in the eyes of the couple, it looked as if a gust of wind had blown the lady's hat away, and when they turned around, they saw a golden-haired, handsome boy catching the hat with ease. The brothers didn't stop there. As the couple were getting into their car to leave, the younger brother created a fake downpour with a garden hose, while the older brother held an umbrella and stood in front of a toy dog. Yet, to the couple's eyes, just as they were about to drive away, a heavy rain suddenly started pouring from the sky, and when they turned on the wipers, what they saw was the young boy holding an umbrella, getting soaked just to shield the little dog from the rain, finally giving them a bright and cheerful smile. It turns out this elderly couple had come to the orphanage to adopt a child, and when the twins heard that the couple were from Oregang village, they decided, for their own secret reason, that they absolutely had to become their adopted children. Inside the orphanage, another child was already close to the couple, so all of the twins' earlier antics were just to leave the deepest impression on the couple's hearts. As expected, the couple chose the golden-haired, handsome, and kind-hearted boy in their eyes. But the truth was, the couple would only adopt one child. What unfolded next was the story of the twins, Mickey and Dolly, taking turns pretending to be the adopted boy called Secret Bird. The twins' stunts after joining the family could only be called elegant. This anime was created by the author Last Night's Guess, and Mickey and Dolly were the stars. His other work is What Do You Want in the Next Version? The first dinner after being adopted was memorable. Mickey sat at the table with his adoptive parents, joking with them and making them laugh, skillfully diverting their attention. At just the right moment, Mickey lifted his legs, and Dolly crawled under the table, and while the parents were serving food, they pulled off an unbelievable trick. After that, the two of them settled into family life without being discovered, and their adoptive parents were very satisfied with their new son. When the father wanted his son to massage his back, the brothers managed it with all sorts of clever skills. When they learned that their mother's dream was to bake a cherry pie with her child, Mickey sat beside his mother with a recipe book saying, "I really want to eat cherry pie, but it must be really hard to make." Hearing this, the mother became excited and happily dragged Mickey off to the kitchen for a parent-child cooking session. However, it was also the mother's first time making cherry pie, and after several failed attempts, she left the kitchen for a few minutes. In her absence, the twins made their move, and when the mother returned to see the perfectly finished pie crust, her face lit up with joy. Fulfilling her dream of baking a cherry pie together made her incredibly happy. The father's dream, on the other hand, was to lift his child on his shoulders. Dolly built a birdhouse and purposely stood under a tree, hoping the father would see that the birdhouse wasn't high enough. As expected, the father took the bait and offered to put Dolly on his shoulders to help, but his aging back couldn't handle it, so the brothers tried again. This time Dolly was already up in the tree and threw a rope down to Mickey. As soon as the father stood up, Mickey yanked him up, and to avoid being found out, Mickey covered the father's eyes, pretending to be scared of heights, so the father wouldn't see Dolly right in front of him. A few days passed, and the twins sensed that their adoptive parents were plotting something. This made the brothers, who always felt insecure, extra cautious. One morning, while the mother was brushing Mickey's hair, she admired how pretty his hair was, but Mickey disagreed, explaining that the kids at the orphanage always teased him for his weird hairstyle. The mother gently touched Mickey's head and comforted him, saying, "It's great to be different from others, and if your hair is weird, then I must be the queen of weird." Mickey didn't really understand why his mother said that. Later, the parents had to go out for something, and even though Mickey wanted to go with them, the parents told him to stay home and watch the house. Seeing the expressions on their faces, Mickey, inside the tent, became suspicious that his adoptive parents definitely had some kind of secret. Taking advantage of their absence, the twins began to investigate the house, starting with their parents' bedroom. Under the bed, they found a piece of triangular cloth, and Dolly figured out that if you tied it up, it would make a parachute. Then they went to the father's room, which seemed normal at first, but Dolly picked up a family photo and, inspecting the back, discovered another hidden photo, a young father holding a beautiful woman who was definitely not the adoptive mother. The twins speculated that this must be his secret lover. They were sure now, their parents had hidden secrets. After searching the parents' room, the only place left was the second-floor dressing room, which turned out to be much bigger than expected. When they turned a corner, they noticed a suspicious curtain covering one wall. Pulling it back, they were shocked to find the wall covered with all kinds of human hair. Mickey immediately thought of how the mother always touched his hair, and he wondered if it was related to the hair on the wall. Before he could look closer, the little dog Sardine ran over to warn them that the parents were back. The twins hurried out of the dressing room and looked out the window to see their parents sneaking a big box into the storage room. The boys decided to follow and see what their parents were plotting. As the parents entered the storage room, the twins crept up to the door to eavesdrop. "Tomorrow at 3 o'clock, let the dog keep it a secret and bring this out in front of you. The dog will be very surprised. I feel excited," said one parent. The brothers decided to peek through the crack and saw a spinning wheel inside. Terrified, they thought this must be a machine to shave all their hair off, and that tomorrow at the welcome party, their parents would use this machine to put on a public hair shaving show. The twins knew they couldn't just sit and wait, so since they now knew the parents' plan, if their parents truly wanted to harm them, then the twins decided they would fight back tooth for tooth. The next day, day, as their adoptive mother fretted over which dress to wear, Mickey appeared outside her door and suggested that she and the father both wear black. It would make them all look more like a family. Sure enough, at the party, the three of them wore matching black outfits. The welcome party was lively, full of neighbors, and Dolly hid above, perched on the chandelier, dropping chili oil into the mother's drink while Mickey added water to her glass, which was actually colorless alcohol. The mother got tipsy and started playing games with the handsome neighbors, which made the father unhappy. Mickey pulled him aside for a cool new hairstyle, but in reality, it was just olive oil slicked back. All these little tricks were part of the brothers' plan from the night before. When the infamous hair-plucking show was supposed to start at 3, Mickey would act as bait while Dolly waited by the window for the sun. Through a magnifying glass, he'd shine the sunlight right onto the aging couple, giving the neighbors a natural human light show. As the clock hit 3, the couple exchanged knowing smiles. The father went to the storage room to prepare, and the mother told Mickey to sit on the sofa and cover his eyes. Meanwhile, Dolly watched the father from the window and realized he wasn't pushing out any hair-shaving machine at all. Dolly quickly signaled to Mickey to stop, but with his eyes covered, Mickey didn't notice. He just waited for the crowd's shocked reactions. But instead, the mother told him to take off his blindfold. When he did, Mickey was stunned. Before him was a brand new bicycle. There was never any machine for shaving hair. The adoptive parents, seeing Mickey unmoved and unhappy, thought maybe their son didn't like the gift. Dolly, from the window, tried to shine the sunlight on Mickey. That night, Dolly took care of Mickey, and the two realized their adoptive parents had no bad intentions at all. The party was just a simple welcome celebration, and unbelievably, the beautiful woman in the photo the father held was actually the mother herself. All the hair in the closet was just her wigs. Mickey was moved by how genuinely their parents treated them as family, so this was what being loved felt like. Suddenly, Dolly turned serious, reminding Mickey that they must never forget their true purpose. He pulled Mickey to sneak out the window to meet their real family. 7 years ago, the twins and their mother lived in Oregon, but one day, their mother was killed in the street by someone from the town. The brothers went to such lengths to be adopted so they could investigate the truth about their mother's death and find the killer. They joined the local Boy Scout activities because, when they were little, their mom had once taken them to a room with jellyfish wallpaper. They needed to find this room for clues. The safest, quickest way to search was to be invited to a friend's house. But as orphans, the twins weren't very popular, and every attempt to make friends ended in failure. One day, 2 classmates called out to Secret Bird and said if he could walk across the rope without holding it, he could be their friend. This tightrope walking challenge was just too hard. Secret Bird quickly fell. But then, everyone was shocked as the twins took turns. Each time one fell, the other reappeared in 3 seconds to try again, and they kept going again and again. Most kids laughed at Secret Bird's struggle, but one boy, Akiyama, saw his determination and cheered for him. In the end, Secret Bird made it across the rope in a mess, but was still denied friendship by the 2 boys, accused of cheating by using his hands. Only Akiyama, who'd cheered before, came over to be his friend. The next day, the twins were invited to Akiyama's house. Dolly brought a cherry pie and played the role of Secret Bird, while Mickey sneaked in through the back. Akiyama's parents were out at work, leaving just his older sister at home sleeping. While Dolly distracted Akiyama, Mickey searched the sister's room and found jellyfish wallpaper. He dared to go in but found none of the drawings they'd left as children. That night, the twins reviewed their day. Dolly was frustrated by the lack of clues, while Mickey was lost in thought. The following day, the boy called Baggy, who had snubbed Secret Bird before, actually invited him over. The twins, of course, went to search for clues again. This time, Mickey distracted Baggy while Dolly searched. The real Baggy was mean, always picking on Mickey and mocking his orphan status, even stealing Mickey's lunch. But Mickey put up with everything for their mission. Later, when they played games, Baggy forced Mickey to tie his right hand for a round of rock, paper, scissors. Dolly, just back from searching, saw this, snuck under the bed, and pulled Mickey out, then popped out on the other side so they could play the game together. The twins found no clues in Baggy's house, but set their sights on someone new. It started with Aunt Guang, the housekeeper, who worked for many families in Oregon. Hoping to learn about the jellyfish room, the twins watched her. While the adoptive mother and Aunt Guang hung out laundry, Dolly distracted the mother, and Mickey, disguised in a wig, pretended to be Aunt Guang to get information. He learned there was a house with such wallpaper, a house belonging to the Ito family who had recently hosted a gathering. The next day, the twins decided to get close to the only child of the Ito family, Eiji. They wore matching school uniforms, Mickey riding in the car, and Dolly racing beside on a bicycle. At school, they learned Eiji was in the top class and didn't like hanging out with low-performing students, so the twins would have to get better grades. They decided to split the upcoming midterms, each studying 2 subjects. Mickey, the weaker student, attended classes, while Dolly, the better student, hid in the library to study. To avoid suspicion, Dolly dressed as a girl in one of their mother's wigs, and as luck would have it, Mickey saw Dolly and instantly fell in love with the black-haired goddess, even saying her eyes looked just like their mother's. Maria was always in the library, and Mickey thought to himself, if it's for her, I'm willing to hide anything. Dolly was just about to tell him the truth, that Maria was really himself in disguise, but when he saw the love-struck look on Mickey's face, he suddenly had an idea. So Mickey went into hard-working mode, studying in school side by side with his goddess, and at home, he was never without a textbook. Soon, Mickey's quiz scores started climbing fast. One day in the library, Mickey blurted out a love confession, which put Dali in a tough spot. If he accepted, his brother might stop focusing on their real goal, but if he refused, Mickey would be heartbroken. So Dali said, "If you get a perfect score, 100 points, I'll consider going out with you." Inspired, Mickey studied even harder, and on the day of the midterms, he looked exhausted but managed to score 100 in both subjects. They went to the aquarium for a date, and Mickey even gave a pair of matching necklaces to Shali. Seeing his brother's happy face, Dali couldn't keep lying anymore, so he told Mickey he was moving far away. Mickey forced a smile and wished him luck, but once home, he couldn't hold back his sadness. 2 days later, with their grades improved, the twins finally got the chance to investigate Eiji's house after being invited over. Dali searched everywhere for the jellyfish wallpaper, but found nothing. The whole invitation seemed strange, and Dali started to worry about Mickey, so he went downstairs to check on him. Sure enough, he saw Eiji's mom accusing Mickey of being a thief. Their adoptive parents didn't believe it, but Eiji produced a shirt with a button exactly like the one clutched in the twins' mother's hand when she died 8 years ago. Mickey was shocked to see the button again after so many years and instinctively reached for his own neck. Eiji demanded he prove his innocence by removing his shirt to show the button wasn't there, and their parents could only watch helplessly. Mickey caught Dali's signal and stalled for time. While everyone was distracted, Dali sneaked under the table, grabbed a dining knife, and snuck it up to Mickey's back, slicing off the necklace with the button. Eiji checked Mickey's pockets, even his backside, but found nothing. Just when the brothers thought they were safe, Eiji called for the family's hunting dog, who sniffed Mickey's shirt. Dali, seeing the dog, realized the danger and tried to toss the button far away, but the dog appeared right next to him. Dali panicked, worried their secret would be exposed if anyone looked under the table. But at that moment, Mickey loudly confessed to being a thief, saying he saw the pretty button while using the bathroom and took it. As he spoke, Mickey slipped the button back into his own pocket. Eiji's mom threatened to complain to the orphanage and demanded Mickey stay with them to be disciplined. Early the next morning, Eiji carried a bowl of dog food, not for the dog, but to where Mickey was locked up, forcing him to eat it and demanding to know why he had the lost button. Mickey stuck to his story, insisting he'd found the button at home. After Eiji left, Dali snuck in to rescue his brother, but a guard dog blocked the door. Dali tried to tie it up but failed. He thought he'd be bitten, but it just wanted to play. He soon found the hidden door where Mickey was imprisoned, but Mickey insisted on staying. Since the Ito family didn't know the twins were two people, as long as Mickey remained there, their guard would go down, making it easier for Dali to search for clues. Dali was reassured and searched every room, but found no jellyfish wallpaper. Mickey then remembered hearing piano music from the next room as a child, so Dali checked the house layout and realized the piano room shared a wall with a hidden room. He told Mickey to check the wallpaper there. It was the room they'd once lived in. When they saw their old childhood drawings with their mom, they couldn't hold back their tears. For days after, Dali secretly watched the Ito family, but there wasn't even suspicious talk. Nobody even mentioned that Mickey was locked up. Dali guessed the button was from baby clothes, but how could a 5-year-old child be a murderer? Just then, Aunt Guang covered his eyes in a game. She cleaned the house every Wednesday when no one was home. While she cleaned, Dali slipped into the locked room and soon found a photo album. In the reflection of a wine glass in one picture, he spotted their mother. He asked Aunt Guang if she knew her, but she only recognized the uniform as one worn by housekeepers at the time, though the Ito family supposedly never hired anyone under 50 years old. The family's secrets piqued her curiosity, so together they searched, discovering a hidden mechanism behind a painting upstairs that revealed a staircase. When they climbed it, they found a model of the entire Oragang village, each house with its own doll, and on the desk were files on every resident. Before they could figure out the purpose, footsteps came from below, and Aunt Guang urged Dali to hide. The next day, Aunt Guang had completely disappeared. The twins continued investigating, and one night, Mickey disguised himself as a ghost with a wig and ketchup, while Dali readied a rope to set the mood. They wanted to test if this man was the one who killed their mother. But to their shock, when the man saw Mickey, the moment they hugged him tightly, it was clear the man was Eiji's father. Through his words, the brothers learned that their mother's name was Maitli, and from the way he reacted, showing no fear, even being completely unaware that his wife had passed away, they realized he could not be the killer. Plus, Mickey remembered that his mother had once worked as a housemaid for this family, and thinking back to the father's reaction, they completely ruled him out as a suspect. After clearing the father, the brothers went to the room of Mrs. Eiji's mother. As soon as she left the room, she returned with a pair of scissors in her hand and a murderous look in her eyes, shouting Maitli's name over and over. Sensing danger, the brothers immediately fled downstairs and hid under the sofa. There, they saw Eiji's mother wildly stabbing the sofa with her scissors, moving closer and closer to their hiding spot. Just as she was about to reach them, Eiji's father arrived in time, and the terrified brothers rushed back toward their room. But before they could make it inside, they bumped into Eiji. Seeing Mickey dressed as a woman, Eiji was so shocked he froze on the spot and then wet his pants, screaming about seeing a ghost as he ran back into his room. This reaction made Mickey and Dolly even more confused. AG clearly recognized their mother, but could IG really be the murderer? After all, he was only 5 years old when their mother died. The next day, Mickey returned to his adoptive parents' house, reflecting on all the suspicious events of the past few days. Guangyi's disappearance, AG's mother's twisted obsession with control, even treating 13-year-old Mickey like a baby and forbidding him to speak. Fortunately, Mickey's acting skills were good enough to fool AG's mother. Tomorrow, he would finally be allowed to go home. But he knew if they left without finding any clues, everything would be for nothing. So that's why they staged the ghost woman incident the night before. The boy never expected his first kiss would be stolen by a cross-dressing man. Just a while ago, the boy had cleaned his room to perfection, thinking his goddess would visit. He didn't know that the goddess was actually Dolly in a wig. Determined to discover the truth about their mother's death, Dolly was willing to become killer again, planning to use everything he'd learned during 2.5 days of sleepless study to hypnotize AG. He started by trying to seduce AG, even sacrificing his own first kiss. Just now, the twins found AG to be a major suspect, so they were preparing a plan to coax out his motive for the crime. The next day, the older brother put on a wig to become killer, getting close to AG this way. Every time AG thought of the blonde woman, a wave of pain would surge in his heart, but he wouldn't let his feelings show in front of classmates. He just made up an excuse to go to the bathroom, needing to keep up his perfect image. He never imagined that the cross-dressing girl would be waiting in the boys' bathroom, watching him from above. AG was completely confused. Why was a girl in the boys' bathroom? Plus, he'd never seen this girl at school before. He was scared she'd spread rumors about his embarrassing moment, so he threatened Sally that if she told anyone, he'd reveal she was a pervert and a peeping Tom. But Sally ignored him and ran away. AG chased her to the staircase and almost pulled off her wig. Then AG took out a wad of cash, intending to bribe her into keeping the secret, but Sally smacked the bills away. On Christmas Eve, AG's buttons hadn't shown any problems, but on Christmas Day, one button suddenly disappeared, making him even more certain IG was the killer. Yet, when he asked IG about the missing button, IG couldn't remember what happened that day, so the brother had to give up for the time being and said they'd talk about AG's childhood next time. What Dolly didn't expect was that during the chase, the dolphin-shaped pendant he dropped was picked up by his little brother, who excitedly told him that his goddess had returned. The brother froze and insisted his little brother forget about the goddess, but the little brother wouldn't let go. On the 4th day, he even put up a missing person flyer on the school wall. The brother soon noticed the flyer, but seeing the scribbled sketch, he wasn't worried about being exposed. What he didn't realize was that the little brother's friend, Akiyama, had a genius mind. By comparing the previous sketches to real people and finding a pattern, Akiyama recreated the real appearance. The little brother praised Akiyama's genius, and soon the nearby girls noticed and recognized the girl he was searching for. It was someone recently seen with Sakura. As soon as he heard this, the little brother rushed over and saw the two talking. Without hesitation, he tried to pull Sally away, but Sakura wasn't about to back down either, and the two engaged in a passionate love triangle, each unwilling to let go. But for the sake of the truth, Dolly chose to break free of his little brother's hand. Taking this opportunity, the brother visited Sakura's house, hoping to use his hypnotism skills to find out the truth. To make it easier, Sally suggested a nap, saying it would help her study Thai. Sakura wanted to take her to the guest room, but Sally insisted on napping together right there, which Sakura refused. So Sally pulled out her second trick, but Sakura countered by offering up her treasured figurines, forcing Sally to escalate to the ultimate move. Before sleeping, Sakura insisted they sign a lover's contract, which meant a kiss. Too shy to say it directly, she used French, which the brother didn't understand, but he agreed just to get the information. As Sakura leaned in for the kiss, he realized what she meant, but before he could regret it, he managed to hypnotize Sakura and ask about Christmas Eve. However, just as he was about to get the key answer, a noise came from outside the window. It was his little brother. After learning his son had lost his love, the foster parents decided to drink with their son. While the foster mom was drunk, the foster dad encouraged the little brother not to lose hope, so he climbed up to the second floor to confess again. But what the brother didn't expect was that Sakura woke up at that moment and without hesitation pushed the little brother off. Fortunately, the brother caught him just in time. Sakura, now confused, suddenly remembered what happened on Christmas night. A noise outside her window, which she thought was Santa Claus, but turned out to be a blonde woman. Maybe it was because, gripped by fear, Sakura instinctively pushed the woman outside her window, and by the time she came to her senses, the woman was already lying in a pool of blood. Sakura hurried to find her mother, but her mother noticed nothing strange and simply told little Sakura that she had seen a monster. With the truth now clear, the older brother raced home. The diagnosis was over, and as expected, the child showed no mercy. Because of this, the twins' bond shattered completely. The older brother thought he could carry out revenge alone, but he completely underestimated how much he needed his younger brother. During meals, the brothers used to take turns eating under the table, but now, without his brother, the older one could only eat half of what he used to. To avoid raising suspicion with the adoptive parents, he forced himself to finish alone, which led him to vomiting in the bathroom after every meal. When making cherry pie with their foster mom, she asked him to help weave the pastry lattice, something the two brothers could do beautifully together before, but now he couldn't do it alone at all. While giving their foster father a back massage, the older brother was clearly struggling by himself, and it was in this moment that he completely broke down. Meanwhile, the younger brother was staying at Akiyama's house. After learning the truth, he had been there for 3 days, feeling like all the light had left his life and he couldn't find any meaning anymore. Just as Akiyama was about to ask what was wrong, his older sister appeared, saying a friend had come for her. When Akiyama went downstairs, he was surprised to see that Mitori, who had just been eating upstairs, was now at the door. The older brother quickly explained that he had come down through the window, and luckily, Akiyama didn't notice anything strange. He planned to bring his brother back to the room, but the brother asked for a cup of tea. While Akiyama was distracted preparing the tea, the older brother slipped into the room and tried to persuade his younger brother to come home and join him in their revenge, since he had finally found their mother's killer. But the younger brother's heart had been hurt, and no matter what, he refused to see his brother again. The two brothers remained deadlocked until Akiyama came back in, and the older brother had to give up his attempt. Seeing how downcast Mitori was, Akiyama tried to cheer him up by asking him to tutor her. But while they were studying, a noise came from the wardrobe. Akiyama was about to check it out, but to keep their secret safe, the older brother thought fast and slapped Akiyama, making her think it was his strict foster parents who forced him to always come first in exams. She comforted him, then was called away by her sister. The younger brother used the opportunity to sneak out of the wardrobe and switch places with his brother. Akiyama was so happy with what the younger brother said that she wanted to take him out to relax. Meanwhile, the older brother went alone to their mother's grave and swore to finish his revenge even if he was alone. Returning home, the foster mother brought him a mosquito costume, saying that this Sunday there would be a Halloween costume contest in town, and she had prepared this outfit so he could stand out. At dinner, the foster parents talked about how last year, a baby dressed up as a famous painting won the championship. Hearing that a baby would compete again this year, the older brother suddenly came up with a plan for revenge. Soon, Halloween arrived, and before the competition, he made all the necessary preparations. If the baby won and sat on the champion's throne, a trap would be triggered, turning it into a death seat. When it was the baby's turn to compete, her costume looked odd and her expression was blank, as if her mind was somewhere else. The older brother realized that ever since she found out she might have killed someone, she had been weighed down by guilt, and in this state, she could never win. To make sure his plan succeeded, he began spreading rumors in the crowd, praising the baby, and during voting, nearly 90% of the townspeople voted for her. The older brother found the best spot to watch his enemy meet her end, but at the last moment, the baby forfeited, and the prize went to the second-place Birdman duo. When the older brother saw the Birdman take off his mask, he was shocked to see it was his younger brother, Mickey. Fearing his brother would sit in the trap he'd set, he rushed over, heartbroken that he had nearly killed his own brother. The younger brother saw everything from the doorway, and wanting to understand why the baby would risk herself to save him, he put on a wig and disguised himself as Sally to question Yitiao's family. But the lady of the house was constantly hovering around as a third wheel, so the baby cleverly claimed to want bread, sending her away. Alone at last, the baby confessed she felt like a sinner, and saving the younger brother was her way of atoning for her crime. Seeing the brother's confused expression, the baby said she wanted to show him something and took him to the attic where the town's model was kept. She explained it was built by the lady to secretly monitor the village and that she herself had only recently discovered it. She guessed the lady's motive was to protect her and told the brother that when she was 5 she had pushed a woman down. The baby believed everything the lady did was to keep that woman from coming back for revenge, and she thought the trap set up this time was arranged by that woman. The younger brother suddenly realized the woman was their dead mother. Just then, the lady appeared with bread and a murderous look, and the baby, worried that Sally had seen her secret, blocked the lady and urged him to run. The brother dashed downstairs, but the lady grabbed him by the hair. He escaped into the baby's younger sister's room, holding her mouth shut to keep her quiet. That's when the lady knocked on the door, and the brother quickly imitated the sister's voice, saying she was playing and not to bother her. Still, the lady barged in, so Leaky bit off the bread the lady handed in and tossed it aside. But then, he noticed his little sister was gone from his arms. She was about to open the door and reveal everything. He was too late to stop her, but when the door opened, she didn't reveal his hiding spot. The lady, seeing nothing unusual, left. Leaky wondered why his little sister had helped him, but before he could ask, she told him that neither she nor the baby was the lady's biological child. They were only playing house, and her real family wasn't here. At that moment, the lady realized the brother had probably run back to the foster parents' house, so she rushed over, pretending to visit Mitori at the rich couple's home. During the conversation, she accidentally learned about the existence of Dolly, and it was then that she finally realized Mitori was actually two people. At the same time, the rich couple both fell unconscious after drinking the coffee she had brought. When the younger brother hurried home, he found his adoptive parents unconscious on the sofa, and sensing something was wrong, she went upstairs, opened the bedroom door, and discovered the older brother tied up. She immediately rushed over to remove his headgear, unaware that the lady was standing right behind her. The result was that both brothers ended up captured and under the lady's control. Staring at the twins, the lady figured out they were Mately's sons. The calmness of the older brother made her want to just kill them then and there, but he told her, "If you kill both of us, the rich couple won't let it go. But if you kill only one of us, no one will notice. Since everyone believes there's only one Matori anyway." The brothers were horrified when the lady pulled out a silk scarf. As the younger brother shouted curses at her, the older brother kept pointing out his brother's weaknesses, all to convince the lady that the younger brother was no threat and that she should choose him to die. Just as expected, the lady wrapped the scarf around the older brother's neck. At that crucial moment, Guang Yi, who had been missing for days, burst in and stopped her. He had been found by the lady in the attic with the model, then buried alive in the garden. But fortunately, Sakura's little sister found and rescued him. Afterward, he left the village in search of the truth. Not only did he discover that the lady was actually infertile, but also that Eiji, Mickey, and Dali were actually triplets. However, just as he was about to say it, the lady struck Guang Yi with a stick to stop him from speaking, and a fight broke out between the two. Guang Yi was quickly overwhelmed and nearly tumbled down the stairs, but at the last second, he grabbed the lady and they rolled down together. Picking up a broom to continue fighting, Guang Yi was caught off guard when the lady snatched a knife and held it to his throat. At that moment, Sardine charged in and tackled the wicked woman, giving Guang Yi the chance to dash upstairs and rescue the brothers, telling them to grab bedsheets and escape out the window. He urged them to call the police, but just as he tried to reveal Eiji's true identity, the lady appeared behind him and slit his throat. The brothers watched Guang Yi die right in front of them. Fleeing on their bikes, they made it to a faraway shrine, hiding and eating offerings when they got hungry. The older brother, Shaken, wanted to give up on revenge, but the younger one was determined to stay in Oregon Village to avenge Guang Yi. Meanwhile, police found the murder weapon in the twins' room, making Matori the top suspect. When the twins returned to town, they learned of this from outside their window. Now, their only hope was to find evidence of the lady's crime to prove their innocence, but they couldn't do it alone. So they decided to seek help. At this time, Akiyama was worried about Matori's safety. When he returned home and opened his door, he found Mickey already waiting for him. Mickey was about to explain why the police were after him, but before he could finish, Akiyama hugged him tightly. After 2.5 minutes, Mickey revealed the truth about the murders and Yitiao's family, and Akiyama believed him instantly because Mickey was his only friend. But to take on Yitiao's family, they would need more help, so he left to find it. Dali, hiding in the wardrobe, knew they couldn't handle this alone, and that Akiyama's actions proved he could be trusted. Just as Dali was about to reveal himself, he slammed the wardrobe door, signaling Akiyama to bring in the person he'd found. It turned out to be Wantai, who had once had conflicts with the twins. Akiyama explained that Wantai's secret weapon was indispensable against Yitiao's family, so Mickey had no choice but to cooperate with him for now. Wantai suggested recruiting Eiji's little sister, who had once saved him in a crisis. If they could convince her to act as a hostage, they could force the lady to confess. Akiyama explained that the sister had been home on leave ever since Guang Yi was found, making her hard to reach. That's when Wantai unveiled his secret weapon, a remote control helicopter, which he flew up to her window while the others watched. Mickey doubted Wantai's reliability, but Akiyama said Wantai just wanted to be his friend. Suddenly, an animal appeared next to Wantai, scaring him so badly the helicopter crashed. Sure enough, the chubby boy seemed unreliable. Just then, the twins managed to communicate with the sister using Morse code and learned she was under house arrest, but could open her window to let them in. They then moved to Wantai's secret base. Once they confirmed Wantai was trustworthy, the twins revealed their true identities and told the whole story. Both Akiyama and Wantai were so shocked and emotional that they swore to keep the brothers' secret. Meanwhile, police patrols were out on the town. Akiyama put on a fake bird costume to distract them, while the others hid in the trees, signaling the sister. Wantai shot a rope across, and using their Boy Scout skills, the group crossed halfway when Wantai's hat fell. As he grabbed it, he saw the ground below covered with barbed wire. Falling down, there was no joke. Wantai froze in fear, and to make matters worse, the tree branch behind him was about to give way. When Mickey looked back, his brother was still in the middle. Any movement would snap the branch, and sure enough, the branch broke and Dali fell toward the wire. In the nick of time, Mickey used the weight counteracting trick they'd used before and rescued his brother. Once the twins got into the room, they found Wantai flirting with the sister. He'd never had such a romantic experience before. For the hostage plan, though, the sister insisted she wasn't important enough to be used. Maybe the older brother would make a better hostage. She told Wantai to help her destroy this home. "I will destroy it. I will destroy it, Marita." Karen, sorry. Soon the plan began. The sister pretended to have a stomachache, luring her father to unlock her door while the others snuck out. The baby's location had already been shared, but when they entered the room, they found her brainwashed back into a baby. The twins thought they could still use her as a hostage since she wouldn't resist. The plan was for Wantai to make a noise downstairs to lure the daughter away, while the twins threatened the lady with a hostage and Wantai secretly recorded everything. But when the plan started, the family dog startled Wantai, making a huge noise and bringing the daughter running early. Wantai dashed upstairs ahead of time, calling, "Marita, you're late. Of course I'd never betray you. I've already repaid you. That woman. If you don't want to be soaked in my blood, then whose blood do you want to be soaked in? Blood. Now tell the truth about our mother and every crime you ever committed. The twins never imagined that the baby was actually their biological sibling, but it was only when the Yitiao mother finally revealed the origin of the entire tragedy that the baby was completely consumed by darkness and killed her second mother with her own hands. It all started when Yitiao's mother, Lindsay, was still young. Everyone saw her as the perfect woman, married to a seemingly perfect doctor, and that was when the twins' mother, Mately, entered the Yitiao household as a maid. Mately was clumsy, always making mistakes, even sucking her own hair into the vacuum cleaner, until Lindsay saved her, teaching her to tie up her hair while working. Mately confessed that Lindsay felt like an older sister, and she wanted to become a perfect woman like her. Mately's sincerity touched Lindsay deeply, and from then on, Lindsay took great care of her, teaching the country girl how to clean and use household products. Mately became more skilled, and their bond grew closer. Sometimes Lindsay even let Mately try on her beautiful dresses. Their relationship became as close as real sisters. But the root of the tragedy began with a checkup, when a doctor told Lindsay she was infertile. For a woman whose dream was a perfect family, this news was enough to drive her mad. Watching the happy faces of children in the street, Lindsay couldn't accept it, and so she poured out her heart to Mately and begged her to have a child for her. Lindsay promised that as long as the lights were off and there was no sound, her husband would never know. Faced with her beloved sister's desperate pleading, Mately finally agreed. By then, Lindsay was already showing signs of madness, secretly spying on them through the door every night. Eventually, Mately became pregnant, but what Lindsay didn't expect was that her husband discovered it was Mately in his bed every night. He confessed to Mately that he'd fallen in love with her. Although Mately firmly refused and didn't want to be a homewrecker, Lindsay, watching from the shadows, insisted this was all part of Mately's scheme. She later lied to the twins, claiming, "Ever since I met that woman, everything changed. After I locked Mately away, she soon gave birth to twins, and then, miraculously, I became pregnant with the baby." Mately escaped with the twins, and that was the end. The twins didn't believe her. Guang Yi had said that Yitiao's mother was definitely infertile. While everyone was reeling from the story, Yitiao's mother crawled up the wall to the second floor, scaring Wantai unconscious. The twins grabbed the baby and threatened Yitiao's mother, but she marched right up to them. Dolly tried to threaten her with a knife, but she effortlessly took it and tossed it aside, then called the baby to her. As the baby looked at Yitiao's mother, her face gradually merged with the image of Mately in the baby's mind. The real story was that after being locked away, Mately had successfully given birth to healthy triplets. Yitiao's mother chose the black-haired baby, who looked like her husband, to pretend as her own son, and for months she faked a pregnancy, keeping even her husband in the dark. After taking the baby, she locked Mately in a tiny room where she remained for 5 years. During that time, Mately taught the twins to talk, and their only game was drawing mazes on the wallpaper. Everything changed when the twins turned 5. Gifted Mickey and Dolly became daring and used leftover fish bones to pick the lock. Mately escaped with the boys, and they lived in the hills near the town for a while. The only reason Mately never left the village was because her heart was still with the baby. She dreamed of taking her away someday. Finally, she found a chance to climb to the baby's window, but tragically, the frightened baby pushed her mother down, causing her death. Even now, the baby believed the blonde woman was still alive and asked the twins where their mother was. Lifting up Yitiao's mother, the baby helped her toward the tiny locked room, while Mickey wondered if the baby was really their sibling. Dolly scoffed, "Even if he is, I'll never accept him. He's the one who killed our mother." Just then, Yitiao's father came out, and in fact, the baby's sister had been stalling for time outside the door, but the commotion inside was too loud. As she was about to ask what was happening, a terrible scream came from the little room. Everyone rushed over, only to find Yitiao's mother lying in a pool of blood. The twins were stunned, thinking the baby did it, and Yitiao's father called the police, his wife overcome with grief. But at that moment, the baby's sister calmly told her father to move aside. Suspecting something, she stretched out her hands. Yitiao's mother had escaped and locked everyone in the room, announcing that she would leave the village and start a new life with the baby. As she listened to the shouts from the locked room, she laughed maniacally. She quickly packed her bags, and hating this twisted family, the baby set fire to a doll that represented the Yitiao family, tossing it downstairs to burn everything to ashes. But those trapped in the secret room knew nothing. Wantai even started gnawing at the door with his teeth. To everyone's shock, he actually managed to make a hole, but before he could get out, smoke started pouring in. The fire the baby had set was spreading. Yitiao's father immediately smelled the smoke and knew there was a fire outside. It was clear that if this continued, they'd be burned alive. The twins frantically pounded on the door, and Wantai chewed even faster, but it was exhausting work. Yitiao's father smashed the door with a wooden rocking horse, but the door was so solid that it only left a few scratches, leaving everyone in despair. Wantai collapsed from exhaustion, and as the smoke got thicker, the desperate Dolly picked up a sharp piece of wood and kept smashing at the door, but it was no use. The tip soon snapped off. Just when Dolly was losing hope, Mickey began bashing the door with his head, but he soon started bleeding, and the door still wouldn't budge. Dolly quickly pulled Mickey away, fearing he would die before the door even opened. At that moment, the door was was split open by a single swing of an axe. The person who swung open the door with the axe was none other than Akiyama, who had earlier disguised himself as the Birdman to distract the police. With Akiyama's help, everyone managed to escape the secret room, but the way to the main door was already blocked by fire, so they had no choice but to run upstairs, planning to jump out the window. But the yard was already covered in barbed wire by Yitiao's mother, making escape impossible, or so it seemed. Akiyama, thinking quickly, brought over a table and told everyone to use it as a springboard to leap over the wire. Once the twins understood, they went first, gracefully jumping and landing beyond the danger zone. With their demonstration, Yitiao's father hugged his younger daughter and jumped out as well. When it was Wantai's turn, she hesitated, frightened by what had happened to Yitiao's father, but the sister, now safely outside, waved for her to jump. Still, Wantai's head shook like a wave. The sister had to encourage her, but then Akiyama suddenly remembered something. As the twins waited for him to come down, they grew anxious. Suddenly, a flash of fire burst from the window. Akiyama, in the chaos, had gone back to rescue the family dog. As everyone celebrated their narrow escape, Akiyama told them he thought he'd seen the baby in an upstairs bedroom. Though he called out, the baby never replied, seeming determined to die. This stunned the twins, and just then, piano music drifted from inside, a lullaby their mother used to play for the baby, a melody the twins knew by heart from their days locked away. Dolly recalled all the baby's actions and suddenly realized how alike they were, as if the baby was him without Mickey. Feeling a strong empathy, Dolly dashed back into the burning house to save the baby. The baby, listening to the piano, thought back to his life with Yitiao's mother. Even though he hated the twisted person she'd become, he still respected her as the woman who raised him, but he couldn't forgive her crimes and planned to die with her in the flames. But suddenly, Dali appeared at his bedside. The baby, thinking Dali had come for revenge, pointed to a knife and told him to go ahead and kill him. Dali said he'd already let go of hatred. Just then, Mickey ran in and scolded Dali for running back. Did he want to burn to death? But Dali only pointed at Mickey's own burning backside. They couldn't die so easily. Dali told the baby that his plans always got ruined by Mickey, so he couldn't hope to die as planned either. To make sure the baby gave up, Dali revealed that his own revenge was to force the baby to live on in misery. Without waiting for a reply, Dali dragged the baby by the hand to escape, but the baby soon broke free, and Dali lost his balance and tumbled from the second floor. With all three triplets falling, the upstairs chandelier crashed down into the living room. When Mickey regained consciousness, the thick smoke made him panic. Just then, a glowing shadow appeared and transformed into their maid, Aguang, who used a feather duster to clear the air so Mickey could breathe. Mickey wondered if Aguang hadn't died after all, but just as quickly, Aguang vanished, and Dolly's figure emerged from the smoke. Mickey rushed over and woke him up. At that moment, the sound of a vacuum cleaner echoed. It was Aguang, now clearing the smoke, and as the air cleared, Sakura's figure appeared trapped beneath the fallen chandelier. Though not mortally wounded, Sakura was stuck. Dolly called to him, but Sakura didn't respond, and Mickey urged Dolly to leave. Dolly ignored him, crawling under the hot chandelier, and at the risk of burning himself, tried to lift it. Alone, he couldn't do it, but then Mickey joined in, and together they managed to free Sakura. As Sakura woke up, he told the twins to leave him and said they only wanted him alive so they could laugh at him. But Dolly replied that he just wanted to bring Sakura home so they could all eat cherry pie together. Fine, whatever you say, Sakura muttered, but still followed them out. As they left, Aguang's spirit faded away. Outside, the street was surrounded by villagers and police who had just discovered Yitiao's mother's corpse upstairs. Thinking the twins were dead, Akiyama and Wantai watched the scene, but the twins, not ready to reveal themselves, decided to take the baby home to their adoptive parents. But the baby suddenly stood up and walked toward the police cars. Seeing the baby alive, Yitiao's father was overjoyed, but the baby confessed all his crimes, willingly taking the blame. The police didn't believe his story at first, but although Wantai's camera had been damaged, the videotape inside miraculously survived the fire. With the evidence and Yitiao's father's desperate defense, the baby's sentence was reduced, but he still had to go to juvenile detention for a while. Wantai and the sister began a long-distance relationship. Every night, Wantai looked at the stars and sent his love to her in Morse code. Mickey and Dolly returned to their foster parents' house, where everyone eagerly awaited Christmas in 10 days. But under the table, Dolly didn't reach for Mickey's hand, as his face now bore burn scars, and the twins could never again play Matori together. Mickey hoped their parents would accept both of them and wanted to reveal the truth, but Dolly didn't want that. So long as Mickey could be happy as Matori, that was enough. From then on, Dolly became Mickey's shadow, secretly staying by his side in class. Dolly became Mickey's secret tutor, coaching him in every subject. Even during gym class, he'd come up with clever ways to help Mickey pass his exams. Thanks to all this help, Mickey quickly became known as the top student in the eyes of his classmates, though only Akiyama realized that lately, it had always been Mickey playing the role of Matori. When Mickey shared the whole story with Akiyama, he admitted how lost he felt. Did he really have to spend the rest of his life pretending to be Matori? On Christmas Day, their foster parents prepared a lavish dinner, and Mickey started to look forward to the the many gifts he might receive, but his foster father said Santa only brought one present for each person. The three of them laughed and joked at the table, but under the table, Dolly felt completely out of place. That night, Mickey suggested they could split all their gifts in half from now on, but Dolly said nothing. Suddenly, Dolly found himself under the table again, next to the legs of a stranger and the sound of a baby crying. He was seeing a vision of Mickey's future, married with a child. One by one, everyone faded away, leaving Dolly alone, kneeling under the table, waking up with tears streaming down his face only to realize it was just a dream. When he got up, he saw 2 Christmas presents under the tree. Then there was a knock at the door. Dolly instantly hid, his heart pounding with excitement, wondering if this could be a sign of good fortune. He thought about whether he could really let go, or if he and Mickey could ever both win. He took a step back and spoke his true feelings. Even though they would grow more and more different, there would always be something that never changed. Downstairs, their foster parents anxiously waited, worried that one of them might not show up. But when both boys appeared together, tears welled up in their parents' eyes. At the dinner table, Dolly was still a little stiff, but then their foster mother handed him his favorite omuris, which surprised him. The parents gently explained that during the time only Dolly was home, even though there was always lots of food left over, the omuritz was always finished. Dolly had eaten it all. Finally, Dolly let his guard down, and their foster parents watched the boys eat with warmth in their eyes. Years passed, and the twins changed completely. Mickey devoted himself to his art, even though Akiyama couldn't understand his work at all, and Wantai thought he was still a little kid. Only Dolly truly understood Mickey's creative mind. One day, their foster mother called everyone over to help braid the cherry pie lattice, while Akiyama and Wantai stood by to see what crazy thing would happen next. Just as they poured the flour onto the counter, the words "preheat the oven" appeared in the flour, and the foster mother realized she'd forgotten to preheat it. Everyone waited anxiously, and as Mickey whispered some secret plan to Dolly, the doorbell rang. It was the 3 siblings from the Yitiao family. Everyone welcomed Eiji's return, and as he sat trembling at the table, Sally appeared from behind. Mickey had asked Dolly to dress up to lighten the mood. Seeing this, Eiji finally broke into a smile, and the tense atmosphere became light and joyful. After dinner, the 3 brothers went together to their mother's grave. Eiji said, "My mom really isn't here. If I die someday and get the chance to see her again, I'll tell her about this season of my messy, happy life." In the end, all 3 brothers set out on different paths. Dolly prepared to go far away to pursue his studies, while Mickey stayed in Oregon to keep creating his art.